Rude boy thing, I'm not ramping. When I'm on a rude boy thing, I'm not ramp. Every selector life done, heartbeat done, everything done, sound class done, argument done. From my team ton, a baby sound boy run. Yo, every selector life done, heartbeat done, everything done.
Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This is my first video. Today, we'll dive straight into creating a track in the style of Sammy Virji. Let's get right into it. I've created a 4x4 drum pattern inspired by Sammy Virji's remix of Good'ems by Unknown T. Sammy's drum patterns are known for their punchy and driving rhythms, so I've selected samples that match that vibe. For the kick, I've chosen a deep, punchy sample that hits hard on every beat. I've used a clap that has a lo-fi feel, giving it a unique texture. There's also a main hi-hat that sits between every kick, adding that essential rhythm. To add some groove, I've included a percussion and an additional hi-hat that are slightly shifted off the grid. This gives the pattern that characteristic swing and bounce. When it comes to processing, I've kept it simple. All the drum samples are sent to a drum bus where I've applied some glue compression and saturation to make them gel together. Finally, I've added a soft clipper to remove any peaks while preserving the attack of the drums. This approach helps maintain the punch and energy of the drums, giving them that distinctive Sammy Virji sound. Now let's talk about the chords. For the intro, I've created these wavy and retro-sounding chords in Serum, which really set the tone for a Sammy Virji-style track. Both oscillators are set to the anti-stasis wave table. Oscillator A is tuned down by 1 octave. To give it that wavy effect, LFO2 is set to a 1-2 triplet rate and is affecting the fine tuning of both oscillators. This adds a subtle movement to the sound. I've also turned on the filter set to MG Low 12, affecting only oscillator A. This helps warm up the sound. For the noise section, I've selected the mic bleed noise and used LFO1 to automate the volume. This creates a static-like breathing effect, adding an interesting texture to the chords. In the FX section, I've added some hyperdimension to give the sound more width and presence, and a low cut using the high 18 filter to clean up the low end. Macro 1 is assigned to control several parameters: the mix of the tube distortion with the drive set to 100%, the dimension mix to add more width, and the master tuning, which is set to go down 48 semitones. Automating Macro 1 will create a tape stop effect, which is a cool trick to add interest in your track. For the chord progression, I've used a lot of seventh chords to give it a jazzy feel. This works well for Sammy Virji style tunes because the jazzy chords add a unique touch and blend seamlessly with the bouncy, energetic rhythm. The complexity of seventh chords also creates a richer harmonic texture, making the track more engaging.
Wait, are you even in our Discord yet? We share loads of samples, give music feedback, and host multiple competitions to get some of that good free stuff like Serum preset packs and sample packs. Link to the Discord is in the description.
Now let's move on to the drop chords. These chords are very similar to the intro chords but with some modifications to make them punchier and more energetic for the drop. I've created a short, punchy shape in envelope 1 to give the chords a nice attack. Oscillator A is still set to anti-stasis and tuned down by 1 octave. For oscillator B, I've tuned it up by 1 octave and set it to a sine wave. Both oscillators have been slightly detuned using the fine tuning controls. Oscillator A is set to 100% volume, while oscillator B is set to 75% volume with a short attack modulation from envelope 2. With this shape, you can see how envelope 2 affects the volume of oscillator B. The sub-oscillator is turned on, acting more like a third oscillator with a sine wave, and envelope 1 affecting its volume. In the FX section, I've added hyperdimension, with envelope 2 affecting the dimension mix. There's also chorus with LFO1 set to 1 bar, affecting the mix to add some movement. A small hall reverb with the mix set to 11% gives it some space, and I've used a filter to warm up the sound. Additionally, there's a high boost using the EQ to add brightness. For the chord progression, I've taken the progression from the intro chords and changed the timings of when each chord hits, making sure it sounds very bouncy by using a mix of quarter notes and triplets. Also, remember to increase the swing in your channel rack to add extra groove to your track. I've also added a lead on top, using the same Serum preset as the drop chords. I filled in some of the blank spaces between the chords with notes from the drop chords to create a bouncy melody. Next up is the bass. To create this FM-style bass, I've used 2 triangle waves. Oscillator A is tuned down 2 octaves, and I've enabled FM from B at 24%. I then created an LFO shape like this to modulate the amount of frequency modulation. Oscillator B is tuned down 1 octave and its volume is set to 0%. This is because we only want the frequencies from Oscillator B to affect the sound in Oscillator A. For the FX, I've added some tape saturation with the drive set to 65% and some compression to glue everything together. For the bass melody, I wanted a pattern that jumps between notes to ensure it's extra bouncy. Like with the lead before, the notes are taken from the chord progression to make sure everything is in key and that the notes will work well with the chords playing. Now let's talk about the FX. I haven't done much in the way of FX, but these elements help add excitement and transition smoothly between sections. Although Sammy Virji uses some FX samples such as noise sweeps, he doesn't add too many effects. The sounds he uses create enough tension and release on their own, so FX-like risers aren't really needed as much. First, I've added a snare roll sample from Splice that already has some FX layered on it. This makes it easy to add a bit of excitement leading up to the drop. Next, just before the drop hits, I included a scratch sample. This adds a bit of tension and signals the listener that something big is about to happen. And that's it. All that's left to do is add some fire vocals, and the tune is complete. Thank you for watching my video. If you want to see more how-to videos on your favorite artists, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Every selector life done, heartbeat done, everything done, sound class done.